Peace and love, y'all. Welcome to another video. Today's video is a follow-up to my first upload where I was sharing my experience living in Mérida, Mexico for almost 3 years. In that video, I said that there was something about my move to Mexico that I did not predict and could not foresee. And today I want to go deeper into that because I do feel like it's very important for me to not only share the upside of what my move to Mexico has been like, but to also share the other side of my journey as well. Because one thing about moving abroad, of course, your energy is going to be based around all of the fun and all of the exciting things that you're going to be doing. You're not thinking about the potential negative things. At least I wasn't. I was solely thinking about the upside, how much fun I was going to have, how excited I was to be experiencing a different culture, to be traveling throughout Mexico, going to the beach. Like, that's where the energy was at. And although so much of my experience has been so beautiful, so divine, so amazing, I still, I feel like this is one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. And I'm so grateful that I followed my intuition and followed that divine guidance that got me here. However, I have also gone through some of the most dark, challenging, most painful, and most difficult times of my life since being here. So that's what I want to talk about today, because when you move abroad, especially for me, I moved here by myself. And so although my personality type is when I go through things just in life in general, normally I get through things by myself. But when you are moving to a whole different country by yourself, it's like you are going to be going through things and growing through things by, solo dolo. And I think that for me, staying grounded, staying rooted, and knowing that this was the right place for me, regardless of the challenges I was facing, like, we're going to get into some of the things that I have gone through here, but despite all of it, there was never a time where I considered going back to the States. It was like, no, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm supposed to be. So we're going to get through it. But, prior to moving here, I had actually started a YouTube channel back in 2023. When I first started my journey with moving here, I had started a new Instagram and TikTok and was planning on documenting and sharing my journey. But once I got here, I learned very quickly, like within the first couple of months, that I was here to do some very deep inner work, and that it just wasn't something that was to be shared, that was to be made into content. So I learned very quickly that the reason why there was like this vortex, as I shared in my first video, that like summons me here. How I said in my first video, like Mérida called me here. I now know in hindsight that it was because of the ancestral healing that I needed to do, and that I was guided here for a very specific reason. And so prior to moving here, I had already been on my awakening journey, had gone through several dark nights of the soul, several ego deaths and rebirths. I had already had experiences with plant medicine. And when I say plant medicine, I'm talking about mushrooms. That was the only thing I had experiences with in terms of plant medicine, even though mushrooms are not technically plants. That's a whole different thing. Before moving here, I knew that I was going to continue to explore with plant medicine when I got to Mexico. Mexico is mushroom Mecca, especially Oaxaca, Mexico, and plant medicine is something that's very respected here. So I had already been on a journey with utilizing plant medicine to assist me with doing very deep inner work, and also to assist me with expanding my consciousness and just remembering who I really truly am, right? But when I got here, it was just like a whole nother level. I think moving here by myself, and this being the first time ever in life, like I come from a really big family. I'm the third of 7 children. I had my son when I was very young. I had never lived alone ever in life until I moved here. And it was like, now that, this is my higher self communicating with me. It's like, now that you're here alone, you can really do the level of inner work that you really need to do. So I realized very quickly that, okay, I'm about to, the best way I can put it is completely fall apart here so that I can remember who I am from a higher perspective. And it started with the first mushroom experience I had here. A lot of the things, I had already had some very mystical experiences with mushrooms, but once I started my experience with them here, it was just a lot of the things that were being revealed to me. It was just like, okay, we got a lot more work to do, a lot more very deep rooted inner child healing to do, a lot of ancestral healing. And one of the first things that I did new here that I had never experienced before was a Temescal ceremony. If you do not know what a Temescal is, it is something that it comes from Mayan culture, and it is a dome shaped. The best way I can explain it is almost like a sauna, but it's not a sauna though. But it's a dome shaped like sweat lodge / sauna, just so you guys can visualize it. And it's shaped like a dome because it represents the womb of Mother Earth. And when you do a Temescal ceremony, the first one I did, it was done at night. And so you're going into the Temescal, and it's heated by these very big coals, and they're heated in like an open fire. And when you get into the Temescal, it's like you're in complete darkness. And it is a combination, depending on who's leading your Temescal. The first one I went to, it was life-changing. And the man who led that Temescal, he and I are still connected to this day. We have done some really great work together. Shout out to Abel, because he is one of those ones. Right? I have been to several Temescal ceremonies here, and none of them hit the way that his do. It's a whole different thing. But that Temescal ceremony, it was a combination of for one, setting intentions, chanting, breath work, singing, and it's no plant medicine involved, but that combination of things together in that intense heat. I had an outer body experience. It felt like I was having a psychedelic experience. During the Temescal ceremony, at one point, I completely left this realm, and I went into an ancestral realm where it was my entire matrilineal ancestry. I'm talking about all of my grandmothers, all of the women in my ancestry, grandmothers who I have never heard of, known, seen, know nothing about in this realm. And during that ceremony, when I had that like mystical experience with going to that realm, basically it was them letting me know why I was like summoned to this part of the world, why I had to come to Yucatan, Mexico, and why I was the one that was here to do this deep level of inner work. You know, why I was the one that was like called upon to do this ancestral healing. And it was a lot of trauma that was revealed to me just throughout my bloodline in that Temescal ceremony. And it was so emotional. I cried just like, I'm talking about hysterically. So many tears. And I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time doing Temescal. And I just surrendered to the experience. I had no idea what would come up, what would happen. It changed my life. Like, it was life-changing. And so from there, you know, I continued, of course, just going deeper with mushrooms. And then I also had my first experience with ayahuasca here. And with ayahuasca, the same thing. It's like we going there. We are going into realms that are unimaginable. Things are being revealed that is just like, wow. You know, I learned so much about myself, about my parents, about just so many different things. And I remember during my ayahuasca experience, I had something that was revealed to me during ayahuasca, and it played out verbatim like a couple of months later. Like, my experience with ayahuasca was so divine, but again, real emotional, right? And so I also have had two experiences here since I've been here with Bufo, and the plant medicine was something that was assisting me with doing this very deep, dark inner work. And when I say deep, dark, y'all, when you really truly are a generational curse breaker, when you really are one of those ones that are here to raise the frequency of the planet, when you really are one of them ones that are called to slay demons for your bloodline, like, it's no joke. And when I tell y'all here, straight been on demon slayer time, like getting down into the basement of so much generational filth. Just, to me, it was appalling. Like, I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. And it is true. It is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of weight. It is a lot of darkness to navigate through. And still have to also navigate through your day-to-day life. You have to have so much mental strength and so much balance, because it's not for the faint of heart. You know, this journey of spiritual ascension, awareness, and really taking it there, like, it's a reason why it's not for everybody, you know, and because it's no joke. The bandwidth that you have to have within yourself, it's crazy. And so it was very dark. I have had so many dark times here, so many tears, just the way I have had to, I have spent so much time in solitude as well. And that's something else that I didn't foresee. I'm an introvert anyway, not socially awkward. I come from a big family. I'm used to being around people. From the outside looking in, you wouldn't even be able to tell how introverted I really truly am. But, you know, a lot of people move abroad, and the first thing they do is like seek out community with other people who have moved here from the States. And they, you know, a lot of people go to events and they do a lot of hanging out with other people. For me, the majority of my time here, I have been by myself, and that has been intentional. Like, because of what I know I came here to do on a soul level, it just is like, we here to crack some shit. We here to do some real deep soul work. And it has been very tough, very dark. One of the things that, outside of just the real deep inner healing, the ancestral healing, the inner child healing, the many mystical and very emotional experiences I have had with plant medicine, something that I went through that it's one of the most painful things I have ever dealt with in my life was my dog transitioning. And so I moved here by myself in 2023. I shared with you all in the previous video that when I first moved here, my son was not ready to move. After I was here for almost a year, he was ready to move out here as well. And it was going to be him and our dog coming together. So I grew up never having a pet. I used to have a very crazy fear of dogs. So I had never in my life had a pet. And in 2021, we got our dog Pluto, who is, I'm not going to even say was, because he's still here in spirit, a beautiful red-nosed pit bull, just so beautiful, so amazing, like the most loving personality, so playful. His coat was so beautiful. He was brown and white, and I used to call him my yin yang dog because the pattern on his back, it looked like the yin yang symbol in brown and white though. And so he was supposed to be my son's dog. I did not desire to have a pet, but, you know, my son was growing through something in his own experience, and that was a conclusion that we came to, that it might be a good thing for him to get a dog. And when he initially got our dog Pluto, I just don't think he was fully ready for how much of a responsibility a dog is, especially when you're being intentional with your dog. And so me being the mother of the household, I stepped in, and Pluto essentially became my dog, or he was the family's dog at that point, because when I was still living in the States, it was me, my son, and my dad who lived together in my house. And so I was frustrated at first because it was a lot of work, and I was like, this was not what I signed up for. But of course, I couldn't help but love him, and Pluto came into our lives, and still every day I express gratitude to him for being one of my greatest teachers ever, because he truly opened up my heart chakra in a way that I can't even put words to it. Like, he really was the embodiment for me of unconditional love. And that was one of the greatest lessons that he taught me, was unconditional love, also having more patience, more grace, So yeah, we got him in 2021, and when I left, it's so crazy because even when I was preparing to move here, it was like he knew I was leaving. His whole entire behavior toward me changed. And of course now I know pets are very spiritual. Like everything is connected. Nothing happens by happenstance. Nothing is coincidental. But when I was preparing to move here, his behavior toward me totally changed. It's like he would just come and lay at my feet everywhere I was at in the house. He was just like attached to me, like on a level he had never been before. He would just post up outside of my bedroom door. Just literally post up outside of my bedroom door. And I, at that time, had an altar like in my bedroom, and he would come into my room and just sit in front of the altar. Like he just knew like she's leaving and things are about to shift. And so I remember having a conversation with Pluto before I left, just like, you know, with him about holding my son up. Like, okay, Pluto, it's about to be y'all two together. You already know what your job is. Just, you know, he's a protector. So I was really excited, you know, when my son and Pluto, it was like, okay, it's time to move them here. So my son ended up flying in, and I went back to Atlanta to get Pluto myself because it is a whole process bringing a dog to another country, especially a breed that has to fly as cargo. It's a lot of paperwork involved. It's a lot of fees involved too. It was expensive, and I just knew that it was a stressful process. I'm not gonna even lie, but we got him here safe and sound, and he really did love Merida. Like, this is a very dog friendly place. Like I said in my previous videos, you got dogs that just roam freely all throughout Merida. You hear dogs barking day and night. I promise y'all, like, there are certain times throughout the day. It happens typically in the morning and in the evening time, where it is like every single dog, they're all barking together, like to where you know they're all conversing with each other. It's crazy. But shortly after them moving here, you know, my dog, he transitioned, and I'm not going to share how it happened, but because that's just something private between me and my son. But it was just a level of grief that I was not prepared for. I had never had a pet, and I had never even really heard anybody talk about pet grief. I have lost family members, and I have even gone to funerals before and didn't shed a tear. When my dog transitioned, it hit so hard. Like I just couldn't, it was just like, are you kidding? Like, I couldn't even believe it. It felt so surreal. You know what I'm saying? I have never grieved like that in my life. I'm talking about, I probably cried, boo-hoo, break down on the floor, cry for like 2 months straight. Like, even now, I still cry about my dog. I know he's here in spirit, and I do understand death from a spiritual perspective. Like, it's like, even when he transitioned, I understood immediately why it happened, when it happened. I understood all of that. But, you know, I'm still going through this human experience, and I'm still going to feel my emotions. And so it was tough. Like, I was sick. Like, he was like a son to me. Like, literally, he was like a son to me. Like, I loved him so much. Like, I still do. And he just taught me so many lessons. But, you know, it was just like, for me, it was just like, I couldn't believe just the timing of it. It was just like, what? Like, we just getting into the swing of being here. Like, he was just getting into the swing of being in Merida, right? So I will say though that it was painful. It was very hard, but I am grateful to have been in such a beautiful place when it happened, because the day he transitioned, like, you know, it was a dog service that was a 24-hour service that I was able to call, and it was nighttime at the time. You know, it was like 8-9 o'clock at night, and I was able to call them, and they came to the house, they came and picked him up, they cremated him and put his remains into a customized urn with his name on it. They created a certificate of life for him, and they brought all of that to the house. Like, I didn't have to do anything, and that just made the process so much smoother that I didn't have to stress out about anything. It was just such a beautiful service. And even the night he transitioned, I remember I was taking a ride, and I got my son called me, and I remember I just broke down. I just crying like hysterically, and my driver pulled over. He stopped at the store, got me tissue. He was just so nice, so patient, just so concerned about my well-being. And it was just, that was really nice as well. So I am very grateful for just like the loving energy that we received when we went through that transition with him, because it was hard for me. It was really hard for my son. That right there, it just taught me so many lessons, and it was just a very dark time. I remember when it first happened, I was like, it felt like I would never get over it. Like, I'm like, I may never stop crying about this. Like, this may impact me for who knows how long. Like, I may never get over this. Of course, that's how I felt, but I also understood from a higher perspective what was happening. And what I know is that Pluto also knew what was happening. Like, Pluto knew what he was coming to Mexico to do. You know, dogs are very divine. They are they're tapped into other realms as well. And he knew the role that he was playing in our journey, my journey and my son's journey. And that was the silver lining in his transition, because I had my son at a very young age. I had my son at 17. And being a teen mother, I made countless mistakes. So many mistakes. So many things that were done wrong just because I didn't know better. Right? And being a teen mother who didn't have awareness at the time. So a lot of mistakes were made. And although I had always strived to be the best mother that I could, I always showed up, was always there, always went above and beyond for my son. I still made so many mistakes, and we always were close, but we would definitely have times where we would have tension in our relationship as mother and son, where we would bicker, where he just, wasn't open to receiving guidance about certain things, where I wasn't open to hearing his side of certain things. So we definitely would have our moments where tension would rise in our relationship. And that used to be something that bothered me so deeply. Like, being in any type of conflict with my son, that's the thing that is like, that's going to shake me up to the core, like, to where it hurts me so badly. And that was the lesson with Pluto. My relationship with my son instantaneously changed for the better the moment it happened. When I say the night he transitioned, my relationship with my son was never the same. Like, our relationship flourished in a way that I really can't even put words to where it was forever changed for the better. We both had this deep knowing and understanding as to what the higher divine order and everything was pertaining to Pluto transitioning, and we grieved through that process together. But it shifted our relationship because it helped me realize a major part of what I was here in Merida to heal too, which was my relationship with my son, and that he was also in Mexico to go deeper into his awakening journey and his healing journey. And as a mother, I had to be open to him expressing to me what he felt from his perspective about me being his mother, the things that hurt him, the things that he did not like about my personality, my behavior, my parenting style as a mother. I had to be open to letting him share those things. I had to be open to letting him express to me everything that he felt, and not, it was hard. It's hard to be in that space, but for me, it's like I had to be accountable, and I had to be open to explain to him, if he's saying this, and this, these are things that really hurt me. These are things that I couldn't stand about you in childhood. These are things that I felt you did really wrong, and things like that. And it's like, okay, I have to hear him, and I have to sit in that uncomfortableness and face that fire. But then it also gave me an opportunity to explain to him why certain things were done and what my train of thought was, so that he knew things were not done intentional. It was just my lack of awareness, right? And I think that my son also got to recognize, like, wow, my mom is she's a person too. She's a girl. She's a woman who's also going through life as well, who's also learning lessons and going through her journey as well. And she's not this superwoman, perfect person who isn't supposed to make mistakes. And so I think it helped him also see me from a different perspective. And the way our relationship as mother and son just flourished and has just been flourishing and thriving ever since. It's just like we both understand and know that was the role Pluto was playing in our lives. And I have, through my plant medicine experiences, connected very deeply with Pluto and other realms outside of this earthly realm. And I know he's still here in spirit. I still feel him. He still communicates, and he on his job, because Pluto was my Anubis. He was our Anubis in this realm, and he's a divine protector, and he in those realms now. He's free, and I'm grateful. So at this point in the journey, I no longer feel sadness about it. I feel gratitude about it, but it was still extremely dark and extremely hard. And I just feel like, I don't know, pet grief ain't talked about enough. Well, in my life, it wasn't, to where I'm like, I was not at all prepared for the void I would feel with him transitioning, like the heaviness. Like, it was the saddest I think I've ever been about anything. I was so sad, but also on the other side of that, could see the silver lining. And I'm somebody who understands that darkness is a part of our journey, that we have to be okay with embracing darkness, that this human experience is not always going to be peace, love, and light, that just like we're everything. So it's going to be light, but it's also going to be darkness, and you need both, because we are both. So as I said before, even going through many challenging and dark things, it was still never a time I was like, oh my God, I'm going through all of this, I'm gonna go back to the States. It's like, no, this is where I'm at. This is where my spirit guided me. So this is where I'm meant to be, and this is where I desire to be. So I didn't let anything shake me up or make me feel like I needed to leave. I didn't feel like, oh my God, I moved to Mexico and look at all this stuff that's going on. No, it wasn't none of that. And I shared with y'all in the video before too, like, I broke my rib summer of 2020. Like 2024 was it was a lot going on summer of 2024 for me in Mérida, Mexico. I broke my rib riding go-karts, and that was a hard injury to recover from, because it's nothing you can do about it. And I'm not big on taking medication, so in the beginning I was taking ibuprofen just because it's like the pain was so, it was a lot of pain. It was intense. And you just don't realize how much you use your rib cage, that part of your body. And it was like everything hurt. Laying in bed hurt, sitting up hurt, riding in the car hurt, even getting up hurt, because you're using that part of your body to move around, to do everything. So it was just very uncomfortable, to where it was hard for me to even go to sleep at night, because no position was comfortable. And it took like a couple of months, like maybe 10 weeks for that to heal. And it was still sore, to where I couldn't just go back full, like even at the gym, I couldn't just go back full throttle to what I was doing before. I had to take my time with everything. So that was something else that was just like difficult and challenging to go through. I shared in the previous video just about 2025 and how dark that year was overall. 2025 came with 9 energy. It came with serpent energy. which 9 is a completion number. It's also a beginning number. If you know, you know. But basically for me, 2025, it was definitely that massive shedding of skin, of letting go, of going down into the depths of hell when it comes to demon slaying and doing shadow work and getting to the root of generational filth, to where it's like these cycles will no longer exist anywhere in like for the bloodline that's coming from me. No, this will not exist in any shape, form at all, right? So I also know that I completed a lot of cycles of healing in 2025, and there were many things that I had to let go of that were very painful in 2025, because I feel like it's one thing to let go of something when you know it's not right, when you know, for example, it's unhealthy, it's toxic, it doesn't feel good, you no longer feel aligned with it. It's one thing to let go of something when it's like that. It's a whole different thing though to let go of something that you actually love, that is beautiful, that is fulfilling, that feels so aligned. Something that you feel is a part of like your purpose. Is so hard to let go from that perspective. And that was the battle I was in within myself in 2025, knowing on a soul level and knowing intuitively that it was time for me to let something go. But I did not want to let it go because I'm like, it's so beautiful. It feels so good. I love it. And I know that it has helped so many people in so many ways. And I resisted it. I fought it. I tried my best to resist it, but I had to surrender to it and just trust. And it was extremely hard. Like, when I tell y'all, I went through the fire several times. I think I died and came back probably 1,000,000 times in 2025. It was a year of death and rebirth, of just the Ouroboros serpent. That's what 2025 was for me. And that's why, like I said, I completed a lot of cycles to where it's like, we're done with this. This cycle is complete. Now it's time to ascend. It's time to elevate. When you think about life from the perspective of a wave or a mountain range, we have valleys, but we also have peaks, and you got to go down into them valleys so that you can ascend to a higher peak on the mountaintop. So I appreciate everything that I had to grow through in 2025 because it was necessary. I had to let go. I had to shed layers. I had to shed skin. I had to let go of an old a version of myself that it was time for me to let go of. And we have to go through times like that. It is a necessary part of our growth, going through that process of caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly over and over and over and over and over again. It's a part of our journey. And so, I didn't like it. It didn't feel good, but I had to just surrender to it and embrace it. And it's extremely difficult. Although I've been on my journey for quite a while, it never feels good when it's time to go through that process, when it's time for you to go through that darkness, to transmute it and get on the other side of it. It never feels good. And so, y'all, a lot of my time in Mexico has been that. It has been the deepest, darkest, most challenging inner work ever. And I am just grateful to have the capacity to do it all. That's all I can say. And I'm grateful for my soul, my spirit, my ancestors, my spirit guides, and all of the cosmic components that came together to summons me here because I had to be here. And Yucatan, Mexico, Merida, Izamal, Yucatan, the many places I have been throughout Yucatan, like Yucatan will forever be a home for me. No matter what I decide to do in the future, Yucatan, Mexico, whether it's Merida or another city in Mexico, will forever be a home for me. And I know why, from that first Temescal ceremony, when I had that connection with my grandmothers, the many times I have connected with my grandmothers through my plant medicine experiences, I know why I had to come here. And this is such a divine and spiritual place. And I'm just forever grateful. So I did just want to come on today to just share this perspective of my journey as well, because if you're thinking about moving abroad, you have to know that it's not escapism. You're not going to escape your life. You're not going to escape yourself. Like, you're still going to be you. You're still going to be going through your human experience. You're just in a different location. So there's still going to be challenges. It's still going to be difficulties that you may experience. You still may go through darkness, but it's okay. You will be okay if you continue to just trust yourself, follow your intuition, and know that everything is worked out in your favor. But I think it is something for you to also take into consideration if you are planning to move somewhere solo, because if you tend to lean on family and friends and you need physical support from people when you're going through something, it's like, once you move to a different country, especially if you're by yourself, you may not have that right off the bat. Of course, you can go to a different country and find your tribe, find your community in person, but that may not always be the case depending on where you go. So just knowing that, life is still going to life. It's still going to be things that come up no matter where you relocate to. And I feel like if you feel in your spirit that the move you made was right, you won't fold or feel like you need to go back to the States as soon as life starts lifing. For me, like I shared before, going back is just not an option for me. Like, my mind, it never even crossed my mind one time. Like, oh my God, this is all going on. Let me pack up and go back. It's like, nah, we came here to have an experience, and this is just a part of the experience. So I have been able to, see what it's like living here from different ends of the spectrum. It is divine, it's beautiful, it's peaceful, it's safe. Because I don't think I emphasized safety. I'm going to probably do a whole different video on that as well. But it's safe. The weather is amazing. It's just a beautiful place to be. But although I'm here in this beautiful place and all of that, it still doesn't mean that I get to, avoid going through what I'm supposed to go through and grow through in my life. I'm still having to do both. Right? So it definitely is something that I think you want to just have back of your mind. Of course, set your intentions on your move abroad being beautiful, peaceful, divine, all of that. But just know, if life starts lifing, you can still grow through that wherever it is you decide to relocate. So for me, I'm like, listen, I would rather grow through my darkness and go through these difficult times living in paradise. That's how I think about it. I would much rather be here where I'm at growing through this than to say, oh my God, let me go back, right? And it's not even that I have anything against the States. Like, I never speak negatively about where I'm from. Like, I'm from Georgia. I'm from the States. Like, well, I'm indigenous to this whole planet, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, it's like, that's where I'm from. I love where I'm from. I love where I'm from. I didn't leave the States with any bitter or any negativity or anything like that about it. I love where I'm from, but I'm also multidimensional, right? I'm universal. I can exist everywhere, right? And I follow my intuition. So I know that it was time for me to leave and experience somewhere else. And I don't even refer to the States as back home, because this is my home. My home is wherever I'm currently at. So I say back in the States. I don't say, oh, back home. No, home is here where I'm currently at. And if I decide to move elsewhere, that's where home will be then. But I do love where I'm from. I love being from Riverdale, Georgia, South Side. I love it, right? And I wouldn't, if I wouldn't choose to be from anywhere else. And no place is perfect. No place is perfect. There are things going on all over the world. No place is going to be perfect. So I love where I'm from, but I'm grateful for where I'm currently at. I am grateful that this was where my soul decided to lead me so that I could go through this process of completely just falling apart. Yeah. Completely just falling apart to remember. And I can say that that's what this journey has been. But I know now, the energy feels totally different. We talked about, in my first video, I talked about how I celebrate the new year during the spring equinox, and that just happened. And it's not only that during the spring equinox, we're coming into the spring season, but it's also the sun starting a new cycle of life, right? It is when the sun enters into the sign of Aries and the new solar cycle of life begins. So it's such a shift in the energy, right? Now that 2025 energy is done with, it's like it's such a shift, like the way my energy just feels so much more expansive and light. I'm so clear and confident in where I'm at in my journey. You know, I'm no longer questioning or like, oh my God, like why? It's like I know exactly why. The clarity is there. I feel so much momentum. I feel so much creative energy within me, and I just know that now it's time to rise. It's time to elevate. It is just really time for infinite bliss and abundance, and to be infinitely up. That's what time it is. And I know that by staying rooted here, even through the darkest times and some of the most painful times ever, that you know, you don't just grow through that for no reason. It's building character. It is preparing you. It's preparing you to be catapulted into something so much greater and to go places so much higher. And that is what it's time for. That is what it's time for. So, you know, I just wanted to come on today and just share this side of the experience, because it is what it is. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed your time here, please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all of those great things. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace. You ready to go for your walk? Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.